Here's a marker about the National Cemetery system. We've seen something similar to this in one of our videos, history videos, where we had the National Cemetery down that's in southern Illinois. Then if you come over to here, this one talks about the Chattanooga National Cemetery, which is where we're standing right now. Talks about the Civil War in Chattanooga. It talks about the National Cemetery being here. And it talks about Andrew's raid. So if we take a step to the side, we can see this is a huge cemetery. Here at the top of the National Cemetery here in Chattanooga, we have all kinds of nice markers. First one is for the United States Colored Troops. And we go along to the Military Officers Association of America, the Chattanooga chapter. United we stand to win, divided we fall and are forgotten. The Magnolia chapter, Military Wives. Then we have the Navy Seabees. And this is dedicated to those who have served and will serve the United States of America in the submarine service. Here's one in honor of the chosen few combatants of the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir. It was in North Korea in 1950. In honor of the veterans of World War II, the greatest generation. And we have the 29th Infantry Division. He spearheaded the assault on Omaha Beach in northern France. Then for the men and women who served in World War I, 1914 to 1919. United States Merchant Marines. Korean War veterans. The 3rd Marine Division, in honor of those who served during World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Southwest Asia, and during peacetime. This one's for the men of the 1st Marine Division. National Medal of Honors. '50th anniversary of E-Day in memory of and dedication to members of the 84th Infantry Division, whose courage in battle contributed greatly to victory in World War II. In honor of POWs and MIAs. In honor of all members of veterans of foreign wars. Women of World War II. Sixth U.S. Cavalry attached units and 6th Constabulary Regiment. Dedicated to the glory of God in memory of the sons and daughters of the 3rd District who gave their lives in defense of their country. dedicated to the U.S. Marines. Dedicated to Vietnam veterans. In honor of all disabled American veterans. A Day That Lives in Infamy, December 7th, 1941. Airborne Memorial. The Vietnam Wall Experience. To all those who were awarded the Purple Heart Medal by the President of the United States. And what we have just seen is the Memorial Circle of Honor, established March of 1992. If we turn around. Here's the Moccasin Bend National Archeological District. The Moccasin Bend National Archeological District is a unit of the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park. It is one of the most unique units found in the entire national park system, spanning approximately 12,000 years of continuous human habitation. There's currently 3 publicly accessible areas within Moccasin Bend National Archeological District, including the Gateway site, the Browns Ferry Federal Road Trail, and the Blue Blazes Trail. You are now standing at the Gateway site, and this area provides scenic views of Chattanooga, the Tennessee River, Lookout Mountain, and Stringer's Ridge. This time there are no connectors to the National Archeological District's 2 public trails, the Browns Ferry Federal Road Trail and the Blue Blazes Trail. Visitors wishing to hike these trails are encouraged to drive to the respective trailheads where parking is available. And then they have a map showing how to get to these various areas. And so they're not very far from right here. You're coming on around. This tells what is an archaeological district. National parks, national military parks, national historic sites, and national recreation areas are just a few of the places National Park Service rangers preserve and protect. What about the national archaeological districts, and what exactly is an archaeological district? To answer that, we have to dig a little deeper, pun intended. And then it tells how to preserve your park. Remember not to dig up things. Should not look for any artifacts here. They leave that up to the people that are professionals at doing so. And if we look out here, here's the field that is part of this particular district. And then if we come on around, it talks about the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park. In 1819, President Benjamin Harrison put pen to paper establishing Chickamauga and Chattanooga as the nation's first national military park. In 2003, the prehistoric and historic landscape of Moccasin Bend was added to the National Military Park as the nation's first national archaeological district. To say Chattanooga is a city of firsts would be an understatement. Today, the National Military Park encompasses over 9,000 acres of preserved land that provides an array of nationally significant stories including nomadic Paleo Indians hunting mastodon, the heart-wrenching forced removal of the Cherokee along the Trail of Tears, enslaved African Americans fleeing the chains of slavery on the Underground Railroad, the horrific clash of men struggling to set free both a besieged city and ultimately an enslaved people during the Civil War, and the story of Women's Army Corps African Americans 6th 888th Postal Battalion during World War II. Scroll on down and let you see these other pictures. Here's the Browns Ferry Federal Road Trail. It was just a little ways up the road from the other stop where it was mentioned of the Moccasin Bend sign. I'm not going to do this whole trail, but I did see a sign down here, and there's another sign up at the entrance while I get on the way out. We'll see what these have to say. It says Trail of Tears original route segment began. So this was a Trail of Tears area. It says a trace of the past. We walked by a corduroy road 2 or 3 miles across the spit of land enclosed by the bend in the river. The road trace you see before you is rich with history. In 1805, the surrounding forest echoed with the sounds of chopping as a new road was being cut through the Cherokee Nation. For more than 30 years, wagons transporting mail and trade goods across the southeast creaked, jostled, and jerked along this road. However, in 1838, heartache filled the air as Cherokee passed over this trace, moving toward Brown's Ferry on a small portion of what became known as the Trail of Tears. 25 years later, cannon blast and yells of soldiers rang out in the distance. An English traveler climbed out of a boat at Brown's Ferry, bound for Chattanooga, on this recently corduroyed or log-lined road. Henry Y. Thompson may have stopped on the road long enough to peer toward the fog-enshrouded mountain in the distance, making him an eyewitness to the Battle of Lookout Mountain, famously called the Battle Above the Clouds. Although not sketched on Moccasin Bend, the above rendering of a corduroy road during Civil War shows how the ground beneath you possibly looked in 1863. And so then there's, I don't know exactly how far down this trail goes. We're going to go down a little ways. And just think of all the Indians that were forced to come this direction. History is an amazing subject. I think it goes this way instead of around by the power poles. And so forth and so on. So that was the Browns Ferry Federal Road, Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park, and part of the Trail of Tears. And then here's the main sign. Browns Ferry Federal Road, welcome to Moccasin National Archeological District, a unit of the Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park. And it basically says the same thing that the other one said. And it shows a map showing where we are now. And then an overlay of a satellite view. This is Signal Point, north of Chattanooga. Looks like an interesting little place. There's several people here looking around. Got a path down here. It's like a huge overlook. What a view. Over here we have Civil War signaling with flags and torches. Signalmen passed the word. When Confederate forces laid siege to Chattanooga in late September of 1863, they cut off telegraph lines leading to the city. The Federals, in order to move messages from Chattanooga to their supply base in Bridgeport, Alabama, established a series of signal stations. One of these stations was here at Signal Point. Very interesting. And let's see what this other one has to say. It says, boats on the Tennessee. Civil War supply boats challenged the treacherous narrows here. The mighty Tennessee River extends 652 miles from its source near Knoxville to its confluence with the Ohio River at Paducah, Kentucky. During the Civil War, the river was a natural highway through this region, but sections of rapids were impassable for large vehicles. One of the most treacherous stretches was the Narrows, which extended several miles downstream to your right. Supply boats bound for Chattanooga had to be pulled by ropes through man-made side channels. This vital supply line strengthened the Union Army for Major General William T. Sherman's advance on Atlanta in the spring of 1864. So there's where it would have been, down to the right, down there. And this says, dedicated to the people of the United States by the Signal Point Garden Club. And here's what the park looks like. Today. Signal Point, Chickamauga and Chattanooga National Military Park.